The bell above the school cafeteria door gave a tired jingle. Lunchtime noise rolled on, but something in the air stiffened when Malik walked in. He wasn't loud. He wasn't even late. He just walked, tall, quiet, school ID swinging around. His neck, tray balanced in both hands. Table by table, eyes tracked him, some curious, some indifferent. Some, tight, narrowed. He reached an empty table by the window. The light there was soft, peaceful. He sat down, forked a bite of his pasta, and then she said it. Go back to Africa. The words weren't loud, but they didn't need to be. They cut, crisp, practiced, perfectly timed to fall between two bursts of cafeteria laughter, so her friends heard, so he'd hear, so it'd land. Malik didn't look up. He kept chewing, swallowed. Across from him, Jessica sat, blonde hair tucked behind her ear, lip gloss untouched on her sandwich crust, the proud smirk of someone who never got told no. Her friend giggled. The other one looked away. Malik finally set his fork down. Gently, is that supposed to be funny? Jessica leaned forward. It's just, if you hate it here so much, why not go back? Like, you complain about everything. Racist teachers. Unfair grades. If it's that bad, why stay? Malik stared at her for a long, long time. Then said flatly, because my ancestors didn't leave. They were stolen. She blinked, and for the first time the table grew quiet. Really quiet. A boy 2 tables down shifted in his seat. Malik didn't blink. You ever think it's not about where I came from, but where I was dragged? Jessica opened her mouth, closed it. The smirk faded. Malik picked up his fork again. Jessica spoke, this time quieter. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, he said, without raising his voice. You did. Her lips parted, but he kept going. You said it because you could. You said it because you knew your table would laugh, because nobody ever says anything back. He set the fork down again. But I'm not nobody. Jessica's face stiffened. I didn't laugh, her friend mumbled. No, Malik said. You just watched. That's what most people do. The quiet was heavier now. The sound of the cafeteria dimmed, like the whole space leaned into their table. I don't hate this country, he added. I just don't like being told I don't belong in a place my family's sweat helped build. Jessica stared. Her confidence was unraveling, thread by thread. You ever had someone ask you where you're really from? Malik asked. Not because they care, but because they think you don't belong. She didn't answer. You ever watched your dad get pulled over 3 times in 1 month and tell you, keep your hands where they can see them, even though all you've done is breathe? Still no answer. You ever had a teacher skip your name like it was dirt on her tongue? Silence. Malik leaned back in his seat, voice calm but not soft. No, you haven't. He looked around. The tables weren't just watching. They were listening. Jessica finally said, okay, but you don't have to make it a whole thing. A whole thing, he echoed. She tried to laugh, like brushing off the weight. I mean, people say stuff. It doesn't always mean something. It always means something, Malik said. That's the point. Jessica looked down at her hands. One of her bracelets slid off her wrist and clinked against her tray. Her shoulders dropped, just slightly. Malik stood up. Slowly. He looked at her, then at everyone who was pretending not to stare, and with a voice that didn't rise, that didn't tremble, that didn't ask for permission, he said, I'm not the problem in this room. He picked up his tray and walked away. Nobody laughed. Nobody spoke, and Jessica, for the first time that day, didn't have anything left to say. Malik didn't storm out. That wasn't his way. He walked the same way he came in, quiet, steady. But this time the silence behind him didn't feel indifferent. It felt ashamed. Tray in hand, he passed a table of freshmen. One of them looked up. Their eyes met for a second. Then the boy looked down again, pretending to sip his juice, cheeks red. Malik sat alone near the vending machines. The window next to him overlooked the soccer field. He stared out, his breath just slightly shallow. His hands still trembled, but only he knew that. From across the room, another voice broke the silence. "Hey, man." It was Daniel. Tall, athletic, captain of the basketball team. White, always friendly, but never more than that. "Mind if I—" "You sit?" Malik shrugged. "Free country." Daniel sat, setting his tray down. He didn't eat, just sat. "That back there," he began. "Yeah," Malik cut in. "Back there. I just wanted to say that was messed up, what she said." "Jessica, I mean—" Malik kept his eyes on the field. Daniel tried again. "She's not usually like that." Malik's head turned, just slightly. "Not usually?" he repeated. "How many times is enough before it's who someone really is?" Daniel looked like he'd been slapped. "I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying maybe she didn't think it through." "She thought it through just enough to make sure her friends laughed," Malik said. "That's the part everyone forgets." Daniel didn't argue. He sat back, quiet now. "I've known you since 8th grade, Malik said after a pause. "You ever stood up for me before?" Daniel opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. "I liked you," Malik said. "You never said anything wrong, but you also never said anything right." Daniel's shoulders sagged. "You're not the one who told me to go back," Malik said, voice low. "But you're the one who sat 2 tables away and didn't flinch." Daniel's throat moved like he wanted to speak, but no sound came out. "You know what silence feels like?" Malik said. "It's not nothing. It's a hand on your neck. You carry it every day." Daniel whispered. "I didn't know what to say." "Then say that," Malik replied. "Don't explain her. Don't defend her. Just admit you saw it and froze." The clock ticked above the vending machine, loud in the quiet. "I'm sorry," Daniel said. Malik looked at him. No hate in his eyes, just wait. "Be better," Malik said. "That's all I need." Daniel gave a tiny nod. His eyes were glassy now, shame thick on his face. A few feet away, 2 teachers stood near the faculty door, watching. Neither moved. Malik didn't ask them for help. He never had. Jessica stayed at her table long after the bell rang. Her tray was untouched. Her friends had slinked off one by one, leaving behind silence and uneaten fries. Her phone buzzed twice. She didn't look. The cafeteria was nearly empty now, but the weight of what she'd said hadn't left with the crowd. Across the room, Malik walked past the double doors. Principal Lewis, mid-40s, white, calm but distant, stood just inside, arms folded. His tie was crooked like he'd rushed here, or maybe been told to show up. "Malik," he said. Malik slowed. "Yeah?" "I heard what happened." A long pause. "You heard," Malik said slowly. "Or you saw." Principal Lewis's mouth moved around the words like they were fragile. "It was reported. I didn't see it, of course." Another pause. "I just want you to know," Lewis said, stepping forward, "that this school does not tolerate racism. What Jessica said—" "You gonna suspend her?" Malik interrupted, voice still even. Lewis blinked. "Well, we have to. Oh, follow protocol. There will be an investigation. We'll talk to all the students at the table." "You mean the ones who laughed?" "I mean the witnesses." Malik looked down at the floor, then back up. "You know what hurts worse than—" "What she said?" he asked. "The way everyone scrambles to protect her after." Lewis took a breath. "That's not what this is." "It always is," Malik said. "You want to know the difference between her and me?" Lewis stayed silent. "She gets to have a bad moment. I don't. If I raise my voice, I'm aggressive. If I walk away, I'm difficult. She says something racist and you call it a mistake. I call it survival." Lewis opened his mouth, then closed it. The bell rang again. Malik walked past him, silent, dignified, leaving Lewis standing there with all the words he didn't say. Jessica sat alone in the nurse's office. She hadn't asked to come here. She just didn't go to class. The nurse, Mrs. Chandler, offered her a chair and water, no questions, just silence. Jessica stared at her hands. Her palms were red. Not from heat or pressure, but something deeper. "I didn't mean it," she finally said. Mrs. Chandler didn't respond. She wiped down the thermometer and placed it back into its holder. "I was just upset. He always acts like he's better than everyone." Still no response. Jessica looked up, frustrated. "Don't you have anything to say?" The nurse paused. "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. That I'm not a bad person?" Mrs. Chandler met her eyes. "Are you looking for comfort or clarity?" Jessica blinked. "What? You're not sick, Jessica. You're ashamed. That's different." Jessica's lips tightened. "So you're taking his side?" "There's no sides in truth," the nurse said. "Only reflections. The question is, when you look in the mirror tomorrow, will you recognize the person staring back?" Jessica looked down again, her eyes watering now. "I didn't know it would hit him like that." "You knew it would hit," the nurse said gently. "That's why you said it in front of others." Jessica's breath caught. "You're not beyond repair," Mrs. Chandler added, "but healing doesn't start with defense. It starts with owning what you did." Jessica wiped her eyes, voice cracking. "What if he never forgives me?" "Then live in a way that doesn't ask for forgiveness," she said. "Live in a way that proves you've changed." Jessica didn't answer. Her silence was different now, less stubborn, more human. Mrs. Chandler turned away, giving the girl space to sit in what she said, to feel it fully, to let the silence teach what words never could. Mr. Granger leaned on the edge of his desk, arms crossed. He'd been teaching history for 15 years, worn corduroy jacket, glasses he adjusted too often, and a habit of calling everyone kiddo. Malik sat across from him now, arms folded, backpack still strapped to one shoulder. "You okay, Malik?" he asked. Malik didn't look up. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Act like you're worried now." Granger's expression faltered. "I've always cared." Malik's voice was quiet but sharp. "You care when it's safe, not when it matters." Granger exhaled. "Fair." There was a pause, a long one. "I heard about what she said," Granger said. "And I also heard what you said back." Malik looked up. "You gonna tell me I should have stayed quiet?" "No," Granger said quickly. "You said what needed to be said. You said it better than most adults I know could have." Malik raised an eyebrow. "But?" "No but," Granger replied. "Just regret." "For what?" "For every time I didn't speak up, every time I saw something, heard something, and just let it slide." Malik shrugged. "You were just doing your job, right?" Granger's jaw clenched. "That's the problem. This job, this room, it should be where kids like you feel seen, not just taught." Malik stared. Granger continued. "You remember last semester, when you wrote that essay on black inventors and Mrs. Teller said it was too political?" Malik nodded once. "I didn't defend you," Granger said. "I told myself it wasn't my place. I told myself I'd talk to her later, but later never came." Malik said nothing. "I'm sorry," Granger whispered. Malik looked at him. "Really?" Looked this time, not with trust, but maybe with the tiniest opening. "Then do better," Malik said. "Not just for me, for the next kid." Granger nodded, slow and solemn, and for once he didn't have anything left to teach, only something to learn. The gymnasium smelled of floor polish and echoes. An emergency assembly had been called. Last minute, mandatory. The kind that made students roll their eyes and teachers glance at the clock, but today felt different. Principal Lewis stood on the stage. Behind him, a row of faculty members, some stiff, some genuinely uncomfortable, others just tired. The students filled the bleachers, buzzing at first, then whispering, then silent. When Malik entered, he didn't wear anything different, just his usual hoodie, jeans, backpack slung over one shoulder, but the way people parted as he passed, like silence itself made room, felt like something had shifted. Jessica sat in the back row, next to no one. Her eyes didn't leave him. Her hands stayed clasped in her lap. No phone, no gum, no whispering. Lewis stepped forward to the mic. "Thank you all for coming." He cleared his throat. "You've likely heard what happened earlier this week." Words were said, deeply hurtful, unacceptable words, and while we can't change what was spoken, we must decide what happens now. A murmur rippled through the students. Malik sat quietly in the front row. Lewis looked at him. "Malik has agreed to speak," gasps. Even a few heads shaking, Malik stood calm, no paper in his hands. No script, just breath. He walked to the mic and looked out, not just at Jessica, but at everyone who had laughed, stared, or stayed silent. "When she told me to go back to Africa," he began, "she didn't say it with curiosity. She said, 'It like a curse.'" No one moved. "I've heard worse," he said, "but this time I decided not to carry it alone." He let that sit. "Just a moment. I don't need anyone here to feel sorry for me," Malik said. "I don't want pity. I want clarity." A pause. "When you stay quiet while someone else gets hurt, you think you're safe. But you're not. You're just waiting. Your turn." His words hung in the air. To everyone who heard it and said nothing, he said, "Ask yourself why." No one responded. "Ask yourself why it felt easier to laugh than to listen." Jessica looked down at her knees. "To the teachers," he said, voice steady but not soft. "Ask why certain students are always treated like they're angry for just asking questions." Eyes darted. A teacher shifted in her seat. Malik didn't flinch. "I'm not asking to be a hero. I'm asking to be human." The gym was frozen. No bell, no announcement, just breath. And to the girl who said it, he turned slightly. Eyes, never sharp, just tired. "I'm not here to make you feel bad." Jessica looked up. "I'm here to remind you I exist." He stepped away from the mic and sat back down. The applause didn't come fast. It came slow. One pair of hands. Then another, then many, but it wasn't clapping like at a pep rally. It was quieter, like something sacred. Jessica stood, her hands trembled, her voice cracked. "I'm sorry, no excuses, no justifications, just the words. I thought it was just a joke," she said, "but it wasn't, and I see that now." Malik didn't respond. He didn't need to. She sat back down, still shaking, still learning. Lewis returned to the mic, but he didn't speak right away. Instead, he nodded once, just once, toward Malik. A gesture that wasn't quite apology, but not empty either. "We're going to start conversations," he said, "real ones, and not just once, not just now." He looked at the students, then the staff. No more silence. The gym slowly emptied. Whispers turned to reflection. The first time, students didn't just rush to the exits. They lingered, talked. Some looked at Malik as they passed. Some nodded. Others simply met his eyes and looked away. But not in shame, in awareness. Outside, the afternoon sun hit differently. Daniel caught up to Malik by the gate. "You meant all that?" Malik glanced sideways. "Wouldn't have said it if I didn't." Daniel smiled faintly. "Thanks for making us uncomfortable." Malik chuckled once. "Any time." They walked together, no fanfare, no slow music, just two students side by side. And for the first time, Malik wasn't walking alone, not because the world was fixed, but because for once it finally saw him.